Hello and welcome and good morning to our last session here on our week-long NAPE live micro webinar series. We thank you so much for joining us throughout the week, and if you're just joining us this morning, be sure to go back and look at our YouTube page and you'll be able to see the videos that we've recorded throughout the week. So our topic today is going to be about 2.0, LandVantage 2.0, and from a more technical standpoint. To introduce myself, Jim Shaw, President and COO of Land Information Services. With me today is Joel Thomas, our Director of Innovation and Technology. So I hope y'all are ready to nerd out this morning as we get a little bit deeper into the technical terms of LandVantage 2.0, but not too much. We're not going to give it all away, are we?
We got to keep some of that stuff a secret.
Very good. So to kind of kick us off, would like Joel, if you don't mind, just give us a little bit of a background and history on 1.0, kind of where it came from, why we developed it, and the path forward on 2.0. What was really, from a design perspective, the thought process and motivation behind making an already successful software even stronger?
Sure. As many of you know, we started this process or this journey about 10 years ago. Wade Brawley, our CEO and founder, he started the outsourcing practice that was offering management consulting and back office land support, and he basically needed a software that could help him manage all that data. And it started off as an access database, believe it or not, and it wasn't really meant to be shared with the client. It was just for us internally, and we saw a need for our clients to want to see that data. And that's kind of where the idea of LandVantage began. So we started building the web version, or our LandVantage 1.0, as you all know, I would say about 6 or 7 years ago, and that was kind of our leading step into building something that's clean, that's simple to use, that was something anybody without any knowledge of any systems be able to log in, see a dashboard, go through pages without a lot of clicks, really. So we put together a little slide to kind of explain that process, and we'll go over how we built it, what the thought was behind the design, and without further ado, we'll get started on that. Had the API, the reports, documents, it's all built into one application. There are benefits to that, and also there are kind of the negative side is that it's not as easy to scale. And for example, if somebody runs a report, you could notice slight performance delays with other users, and that's not okay in certain sense, and we wanted to fix that. So with 2.0, we made a drastic change to this layout. As you can see here, we took that one product and basically split it into 5. And the 5 key components there, as you can see, are authentication, we got the UI, API, the reporting, we got the documents. And it's key to separate those out because it makes it easier to scale, first of all. And if a client requires a lot of reporting, a lot of resources in that area, we are able to put more resources there and help them expand that. And I'll start with the left side here, and let me explain what each one does. Okay. So we've got the authentication piece. We added 2-step verification. We're able to connect with multiple Azure, Okta, different SSOs. That was a big want or request from a lot of our clients. Absolutely. Or they want to tie their security into the infrastructure they already built, and they want to be able to communicate or control that user through their environment, not necessarily have to control it through LandVantage separately. So that was one of the key benefits here. The UI piece, the only purpose of that is to send the look and feel and what you're seeing on the screen is what that server does. All it is, sends the file to the browser and it displays it to you. And that's a simple server. It sounds simple, but it's a lot of code.
Right.
Thousands or maybe over 500,000 lines of code is
That's
just
right.
going out and getting to the browser. So we've got the API. That was a main big request from a lot of the clients, being able to use REST APIs, being able to interface with LandVantage. We've already done that multiple ways. We've done it through just database integrations. We've done it through other ways, but there's a step above that where we can offer APIs, being able to connect via API and not having to rely on writing a lot of code and building that out and spending a lot of hours.
Yeah, that was a huge advancement for this version.
Yeah. And then comes the reporting. Reporting was also something that we offer, and we've got a variety of reports out there, and they're not just a simple blurb or a CSV file. They're actually reports that hold a lot of data. We've got multiple sheets. Everything's formatted properly. So to do all that, it takes a lot of resources. And the biggest thing was we wanted to move that and separate that out.
Yeah, especially for those clients that have a pretty significant scale in terms of volume of records in the system. If you're running a query on tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of records and trying to produce a report for that, you need to have the resources to satisfy that.
That's right. And then comes the documents. Document is something that we've got a fully fledged document management system. It's its own module. We're able to handle thousands, millions of documents for a lot of our clients. We're hosting that through Amazon S3. We're also leaving that open for certain clients as far as they can use their own document management system, or we can tie in via SFTP or other means. We leave that open for purpose, and it seems to be a popular choice for clients. Now we got the database side. Database was something that there was a significant amount of changes made to it. One of the ones mentioned on the slide here, like referential integrity, that's something where maintaining good data is not easy, and we can add all the rules on the front end and try to prevent people from entering bad data, but we still want to make sure the databases knows about those different things. So we want to maintain that, and these are kind of the steps we took for that. So adding constraints, making sure every agreement number, every owner number, every well number is unique. It's not just the front end, it needs to be the database that manages that. So there's checks there, and we've got, for the people that will be connecting to our API or doing some sort of integration, consistent naming conventions. It's really easy to follow the entire schema, understand what each field is referring to. We got auditing. Auditing is something where we're doing it at the field level. We're auditing every record, every field. We're able to say this field changed from this value to another value, and by whom, when, where, all of that. So that's a big improvement for us.
For sure. I think something to mention here, the little workflow engine down there at the bottom. I mean, like we talked about earlier this week, the workflows really set our business and our software apart from everybody else, and we're very confident in the way that we design those workflows. But each business is different in some way, shape, or form, and somebody may want to route a particular process in a different method, or attack it from a completely different angle than the next person down the street. The new workflow engine that's built into 2.0 really gives the customer the freedom to design and configure those workflows to specifically tailor to their business. So that's an amazing advancement in 2.0.
I agree. And the main purpose of that being in the database side is for performance. Some it's a key thing that we focused on throughout our 2.0 development was improving that performance anywhere, any way possible. So we moved heavy duty logic and workflow engine process and all that into the database to help give the user immediate response. And as you saw in the demo or previous demos this week, you might have seen how quickly you're able to switch between screens. And I mean, we're talking milliseconds of response.
That really does transition into a tangible, cost savings. I mean, when you think about somebody saving seconds to minutes to hours each and every day, purely because the application is performing faster, let alone, the actual data input is easier and all that. But the faster that application is moving, the faster that person can get their work done. That's an actual, cost savings.
Exactly. And everyone out there is getting used to using Facebook and all these popular platforms, and they expect a level of immediate response from their application. So we have to keep innovating and making this better, and that's really what we did with 2.0.
Yeah.
As far as deployment, we've got we still use AWS for our deployments. We give our client a test environment and a production environment. So they're always able to go to that test environment, try out something, play with the data, see if they're getting the right results. They're also able to confirm their data after our conversions. And, we go through that UAT process, and we go through that whole entire process before we go into production. And every update that's put out, we run through test first. You're able to play with the changes, try it out. If you find any issues, you're able to respond back to us, and we can fix that before the updates are going to production.
Yeah.
So that whole flow is something that everyone will appreciate.
Yep.
And with that, we'll kind of go over some, I think, are some of the key features that with 2.0 that I think everyone is going to appreciate. And obviously the first thing is performance. Yeah. And that we're not just saying that, it's you have to try it to believe it. And I mean, it blew everybody here away. I mean, everyone here uses the product and uses the software daily, and they're just blown away by how quickly everything's responding and just the ease of use. And then comes the drag and drop documents. Small thing. It's something that it's not easy to build, but it's something everybody wants.
Yep.
And everyone's getting used to it because of other platforms like Dropbox, or you're using a level of product out there that you're used to, and we want to make sure our product feels the same.
Yep.
So here's a little screenshot of that. You're able to drag and drop multiple documents, set the document type, fill out the details, and just hit submit or add.
Yep.
And that's it. It doesn't get easier. Obviously, on notifications. Big request, being able to get real-time notifications, whether it's a request or a workflow that was delegated to you, or you're able to also follow records. You can follow an agreement, a well, owner record, and be notified if someone goes in and makes a change. And this could be security. I mean, this is just a high-level view of, hey, we'll let you know as soon as something happens to this record.
Yep.
And I think that's very important.
Everything in our industry is so fast-paced, and people need to be alerted, and aware of certain events instantaneously. And we've always, had those daily email alerts, or the dashboard would always be kind of real time, but there wasn't really something that really kind of popped out at you to let you know that something was new. And so that addition is a welcomed addition from our current clients for sure.
Right, and these aren't your Facebook notifications. You might want to pay attention to those.
Exactly, these have a little more gravity to them than somebody liking a picture or something.
And next up is auditing. Audits, like we talked about before, at a field level. Anytime you make a change, hit that save button. the database and the application is holding on to that previous data and the new data, and we're storing that to make sure that we're able to either revert back or give a timeline or footprint of what happened throughout the process. And we're able to do a lot more with it. We've got a lot of plans around that. So stay tuned for that.
Yeah.
Don't want to. So here's a little look at how that shows up. There'll be a sidebar with the latest activities. It shows, like, for example, it says track 5 was added by summer. It says, before that the agreement was modified, and it gives you a time, date, stamp, who did it.
Good little timeline.
And if you click to expand that, you can even see the field level of what changed. So that's really, really neat.
Yeah.
Favorites. This is something that was also requested, I believe.
Yes.
We've always planned to add this. We've got so many fields that you can search by. It's a system that has over hundreds of different joins, and it's not easy to organize all that. So we decided to group those fields together into different sections or areas. And then we also allowed people to favorite their fields. So if you favorite the fields, they flow up to the top of the search. And they're always there for you. You can move it around, place it in certain orders. I think this is going to change the way people work through that system. Everyone's screen will look different, and it'll be customized for their experience and their need.
Yeah, it's a huge user experience advancement. I mean, like you said, everybody's a little bit different. We have, even just within our staff here doing the outsourcing business, everybody has their own preference on what they want to search on, or what they routinely want to see on the screen. And so this is a big deal for them to be able to tailor that just to themselves.
Agreed. On that same theme, we've got saved searches. You can make your searches, you can type it in easily. Fields are up there, that's great. But what about those common searches that you do daily or weekly, and you want to save that search? Now you can't. You're able to, as you can see on the screen, you're able to set your favorites and even name the favorites so that you can go back and click on one of those, and it will actually autofill the fields for you. And I think this is something that no one asked for, actually, that we thought would be beneficial. And I think everyone's going to enjoy that. Field validation. This ties in with all the changes that we did to our database. We've also got the application, the front end side, also validating that data. And we went further as far as looking into, does the totals add up? Does the calculation in the owner?
Just overall data management and data quality, improves. It has always been really good in the prior version, but is even that much more improved in 2.0.
Shortcuts. Who doesn't like shortcuts? We've included a range of keyboard shortcuts throughout the application. Something we're trying to build on is being able to move through the applications just through keystrokes, and we've made a big stride on that. We'll keep implementing and improving that going forward. My belief is that you should be able to do things with as little clicks as possible. So we've tried to take away a lot of those multiple page, no need to go through different levels of screens to get to one data. So shortcuts come into that play, and we'll keep adding on to that as we go.
Absolutely.
Collaborative record editing.
This is big. Oftentimes, sure, you've got other systems that may lock a record for editing, and somebody else can't get in there and step on each other's toes. That's all fine, but it's really nice to know who else is in that record. And what the screenshot shows you here is that multiple people can be viewing a record, and you can see who's also viewing. So if I lock the record and I step away for lunch, Joel can call IT or call himself and kick me out of that record. If I've left it open for too long, or the system will actually kick me out later. But
at least you know who did it.
Exactly.
Where they are. You can message them to ask them to, can you leave that record?
Yep.
Can you not lock it up for
Yep.
us? And that leads to our workflow module. And this is a big step forward for us. We completely rebuilt our engine, our model behind the workflows. And you've seen throughout the demos, the workflow, the fuel gauges are all throughout the application.
Mhm.
There's no limit of where or what level you can tie that workflow or start that workflow. So we went, I think this is going to be the staple of our application for 2.0 is the level of detail we went into and the customizations that we've allowed with this piece.
Yeah, I mean, if you didn't watch the webinar yesterday, go back and listen to that one. We really hammered home on how LandVantage is truly a land workspace. From land and land administration, you can do 100% of your work in LandVantage. So this is a big shout out to our development team that helped build out this workflow engine and really create a space where you don't have to now rely on 5 or 6 or 7 different workflow systems to complete your day-to-day work, which in and of itself saves subscriptions and costs on additional overhead with technology. It's all within one platform.
And as you can see on the screen there, we've got many workflows built in. That's only a handful, but we've got a ton more.
Yep. So from a roadmap standpoint, just from a very high level, just touching on a few items, the first thing here on the list is a contact management CRM tool that's actually in development and about to be rolled out and released to our clientele. This is a huge functionality that caters a lot to obviously our mineral buying customers. So that's going to be a huge value add to the platform. And just some other items, that we're working towards that you can see on the screen, that we're proud to say that we're working towards, and a whole lot more that you don't see on the screen. So
that concludes that presentation.
I'm just so glad that you're able to share a little bit because, so often, we talk about the business side and the user experience and everything else, but to really understand kind of the guts behind the system and the thought process behind it, I think is valuable, especially to those in the IT world. They may appreciate a little bit more. But for those that are maybe on the business side that lean towards technology and data, I think this was a really, really nice way to get a little bit of a glimpse behind the curtain, if you will. So let's see if we have any questions. And it does look like we had one come in via email. So this is Joe from Houston. He says, in my experience, a typical implementation can take at least 4 to 6 months or longer, he said. But we've heard that LandVantage can implement in 2 months or less on average. Mm-hmm. First of all, is this accurate and how is this possible?
I think the key here is the way we built our product, mainly around the SaaS model and the efficiency that we built around that. Obviously, the experience that we have with our data team, working through several different systems over the years, it's a main thing. And then we have experience in business process. Mm-hmm. And you can speak more on that business process. I mean, we've got a heavy subject matter experience.
So I think, certainly there's kind of the technology stand-up, the data conversions that you mentioned. But anytime you implement a new system, or maybe a company is just starting up or they're going through some kind of change, the business process implementation can be even more time consuming and a larger effort. But again, with our extensive history in land and land administration, we have very well organized processes out of the box. And we were, very experienced with dealing with organizations and working with them to make sure that those processes fit into their blend or fit into their mold. Another question that's come through the chat here is, you mentioned that our programmers are on site. Is our help desk and our support team also on site, and what's the general response time for tickets?
It's a great question. Yes, to answer that, yes, we do have our help desk on site. They're monitoring, I would say, almost 24/7. We cover from 6 a.m. all the way to about 8 or 9 p.m. And we all have a share in that. So we've got our team on site. The response time, everyone gets a response from one of our staff members within, I would say, the first
Couple
10
minutes.
Yeah, 10 minutes at the most. But our response has been one of those things that our clients praise, and it's something that we cover, are proud of, and we 6 a.m. all the way to, we make sure the client and the customer service stays intact throughout all this process.
Yeah,
Got our team on
the
site.
response times, like you said, are minutes, 10 minutes at the most. And our resolution times are really same business day or the following day. It's not taking days or weeks or a month for an issue to be handled. And I think there's a lot of factors that go into this, but we've never lost a client on LandVantage since the very beginning, and a big reason why is our help desk team and our support team. So we're very proud of that. Very confident in the way that we serve our clients. I don't see any other questions at the moment. Anything else you want to add before we wrap up?
No, this has been really great week. We had a lot of fun doing this, and this is all new and fresh, and we hope to do more of this, and we're super excited for the future, and we hope that everyone takes a look at LandVantage, visits our website.
So again, like Joel said, this has just been such a fun week. So glad that those of you that have been able to join in live, that's fantastic. We know that a lot of people are going in and watching these videos after the fact. So if you want to do that, you weren't able to catch this live, go to our YouTube channel, which is Land Information Services. Search for that. If you have any questions whatsoever, maybe you want to reach out for an actual personal consultation or a demo of some kind, go to our website, lislv.com, and contact us through there. So we're, again, just very, very grateful that we've had this opportunity to share what we are so passionate about, and how we really feel like we're making a huge change in this industry and a huge impact for our clients and future customers. Thank you all so much. Have a great weekend, and look forward to the rest of NAPE next week.